There's new NFT projects dropping every day. Dragon, how do we keep our finger on the pulse of these communities?
Well, that's easy. Just like we watched CNN on the news, there is a CNN for NFTs.
Ooh, let's make it simple. NFTs are changing the world, and change can feel complicated and scary. But listen, you don't need a computer science degree. You don't need to learn how to code. You just need practical skills to win.
If you are here, you are in the 1% of humans that are preparing for this major cultural shift. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to make it practical. Welcome to NFTs Made Simple.
Just a reminder, we're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, and you should do your own research.
Hey, let's get into it.
All right, so Dragon, obviously one of the best ways that you can kind of keep up with what's happening in the NFT world, well, that's listening to the NFTs Made Simple podcast, obviously. I just want to give another shout out to Dr. Sebastian out there, a listener who actually took action, listening to the show, and is coming up big. But Dragon, there's a lot of different ways that you and I are getting ingrained in these communities and finding different opportunities in this sea of perceived value. So let's break down some of our top ways that we're getting new information. What are you doing?
I think it's important, we haven't spoken about our own personal lives in a little while since we started the show, but I think it's important that everybody recognize that, Mark and the Dragon are, first of all, we're husbands, we're fathers, and, and we own our own companies, and we have our whole other life. So just, we're not the people that have all day to do NFT stuff. We're super passionate about it, but I just want to, create a little bit of a comparison between our listeners and us. Like, we are here and we want to deliver information to all of you because we know most of you don't have the time to figure it out on your own. So Mark was kind of saying that in a funny way, like all you need is NFTs made simple. But in a way, that is potentially all you need. When you hear a story about like Dr. Sebastian, this is somebody that went from not knowing anything to knowing enough to dabble and then every now and then win. So where are we getting all of our information as we create content for our podcast, but also look to engage and play and win in the NFT, arena? That's important to understand too, because I don't have the time to go out there and do all the work that somebody that has dedicated themselves full-time to NFT. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. The first thing that you do is, when you make that decision, like, hey, I want to get in on this and I want to become empowered and knowledgeable about this, where do I go? I would say the average person is probably afraid to just expose how little they know. So they start playing around on YouTube and Google and all that stuff. And as you start to get more and more involved, you realize that there's this community. There's conversations going on about NFTs everywhere. And, there's so many different social medias. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, and now they have these new platforms, the audio platforms like Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces. I never heard about Discord. The first person I ever heard mention Discord was actually Gary Vee. I always thought Discord was this thing just for gamers, but it's now for people that are in the game of NFTs. The main channels that I want to reference, there's websites, first of all. There's YouTube channels that have people that have just put so much time and effort to not only understand this, but learn how to decipher the information to people. That's called YouTube University. So I just want to share a couple of gold finds that I've had that I've just found really, really helped me educate myself, empower myself, but also keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on in case a lot of our listeners say, I've got $5,000, burning a hole in my pocket. What should I do? So I would say, don't just ask somebody what to do with it, do your homework. And here's how I do it. So first of all, there's an amazing website, and I didn't know about this, but this is what is kind of deemed the CNN news of NFTs and crypto. And we'll put the link in the description, but it's called cointelegraph.com. And if you go to cointelegraph.com, this is a, frequently updated daily, newspaper that you read that tells you about projects that are launching, projects that are in the process of being made in cryptocurrencies, and it's just this one-stop shop to learn everything. So depending on how much time you have, if you have the ability to go to cointelegraph.com once a day, you're going to learn a lot of stuff and keep your finger on the pulse. So what's cool about that is, let's say Mark and I have this project that we're launching, 2 months from now, or we're starting to create alignments, and you're starting to find people that you like, know, like, and trust working together, and you like the utility and stuff. You'll be able to learn about it before it happens. And then from there, you can also get tapped into people's other socials. So another place that I love to go, I love YouTube. I think YouTube is the coolest thing in the world. If I had YouTube, just knowing what I know, I mean, I went to high school, I went to college, and I became a doctor after. If YouTube existed back then, dude, I wouldn't have gone to school. I mean, school is the biggest waste of money in the world now, when you can just learn everything for free. That's what Elon Musk said the other day. Sidetrack, Elon Musk apparently just offered Twitter like $40 billion to buy Twitter, so just love that, man.
Well, and
so,
Twitter, by the way, I think is, another really, really important place
it's huge
to go.
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, the main ones are Twitter, Discord, and YouTube. And Instagram is cool too, but Instagram really I see as a portal of entry. But if you really want to join the communication and join the conversations, Twitter, Discord, and YouTube.
Let's go a little bit deeper, because each of these platforms are a little bit different. Twitter is, the main hub, right, where everyone's announcing and do all these projects. Hey, what's up? Mark here. Just want to take you on a quick break with a resource I think is really going to help you. Some of the concepts that we're covering in the show sound really complicated and really technical, but listen, you don't need to code. You don't need to get a master's degree in computer science. All you need to do is have the right resources. We're going to make it simple. We're going to make it easy. I've got a link below. Go to www.nftsmadesimple.com. That's nftsmadesimple.com. You're going to get a free cheat sheet there. It's 100% free. What are you waiting for? Go get the cheat sheet. We're going to break down some of the key definitions in ways that are really practical and really simple. Go to nftsmadesimple.com right now to get your free cheat sheet. That's nftsmadesimple.com. All right, let's get back into the show. I don't know if you've noticed this also, Dragon, but ever since I've started getting more engaged with NFTs on Twitter, I am getting bombarded with crypto bots tagging me and like 20 other people. Are you feeling that too?
Dude, the other day I was sitting on the toilet and I just thought of cryptocurrency and I got one of those. So there's some crazy stuff going on out there. If you just even think about something, you're probably touching it in Twitter, like you said, but absolutely.
Well, and I think this is an important thing to note. You need to be very careful when you're going into this space. You need to make sure that you're not clicking on random links. There's a lot of spyware, malware. There's a lot of tricks that hackers are using. You cannot be clicking on links from people that you don't know. We're actually going to have an entire episode dedicated to being safe in this space, but you need to be very careful. There are people that you'll meet that seem like good actors. I met someone in Clubhouse the other day. We had a good conversation, walked away, didn't think anything of it. A few days later, he's DMing me and sending me all these links. Hey, you've got to get involved in my project. You've got to get involved in my project. I'm like, it's kind of like when you're dating someone and, you meet them for coffee and the next day they're trying to get married. Like, I think you need to beware when you're into these platforms about people that are moving too far, too fast. I know that it's a really hype driven machine. There's a lot of FOMO going on in the NFT space, but we got to be careful. You got to be careful who you put your trust in. And I think on Twitter, that is a big deal. On Twitter, you've got these Twitter spaces, which end up being, round tables of communities, just giving each other back rubs, and it's like, oh, this is great. Look, these 5 people on stage all agree that this is the next big NFT project. Okay. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Like you said, let's go to the Discord. Let's go to the company's website. Let's look at the roadmap. Let's try to understand more about who these creators are. Are they just jumping from project to project, or are they all in on this project? These are some of the questions I ask myself when I'm on Twitter, when I meet someone, when they're starting to when I'm hearing them talk about their project.
Yeah, you and I way back, we're having to talk about like multi-level marketing and stuff like that. And there's just certain people that like they say hi to you and ask you how you're doing, but like very quickly after they're pitching you on something. So one of the things that I'll just give you my strategy just quickly. And what we'll put in the description of this episode is I found two really, really good YouTube videos that explain for beginners how to use Twitter and Discord. So we'll throw that in there because that's the first place. Don't just go in there and get swallowed up by the fact that you don't know what you're doing. Forget about leveraging it, but you could be easily swayed. And to be honest with you, when you start looking you've got your own life, you've got your family, you've got your job, and you look at this idea of like getting involved in something that requires like every single day. I mean, these people that are full-time working in NFTs and crypto, they're in Twitter and Discord all day. So the first thing you'll notice is like, okay, this is a cool tool, but I don't have time to like run one of these things right now. Maybe one day you'll, buy a cyber cat and sell it for $1 million and you'll be able to do that. But right now, my advice is to find people, and I'll tell you how I find them. Find people that have YouTube channels, Discords, and Twitters. Find people that you know, like, and trust. They give you content and you can spend time following them and feel like you're consistently getting equipped and empowered by them and not being, like moved to buy something. So that's what I like to do. One side is there is value in taking, radical action and stuff, but so I'll just give you, one quick example. I found this guy, and I guess our listeners will get access to this guy. He's just this young guy that I just like, and he knows his stuff. His name is Brett Malinowski, and we'll put so we'll give a shout out to Brett. Maybe we'll interview him on the show. He's got a pretty big following. It's not like completely out of control, but when I go to his YouTube channel or I go to his Discord and stuff like that, this guy's done all the work. So I don't mind, because of my current reality, I don't mind getting things secondhand, right? Now, he probably finds out about this stuff way before I will because I'm following him. But for me and my lifestyle, that works. So I go to his YouTube channel, I follow his Discord, his Twitter. Sometimes from there, I'll find out about somebody else that's in alignment with him. I found out about, a DAO that he's involved in and stuff like that. And he's doing a good job of, just like Gary Vee is doing. I'm following him now. And I also have to be aware, though, that at some point he could say jump and I might say how high, so I'm always being conscious of that stuff. But that's what I like to do is I like to find somebody that's doing all the work, Mark, and get my information secondhand.
Well, all the information is basically secondhand unless you're part of the actual product team, the production team. Again, and I always say this, I'm very kind of hesitant, because there's always a new project. I feel like every day I get hit up from someone, people that I like, people that I know, that are saying, hey, I just got involved in this NFT, you should check it out. And I think that in some cases, these people might have good intentions, but they don't fully understand what they're getting into. The first question I always ask someone is, well, what's the value? Like, oh, it's the community. The community. I'm like, bro, I'm a part of almost too many communities right now. Like, you got to give me something more than that. But certainly going to the Discord is the second place that I'll typically go into Discord, which is a communication app. Basically, it's very simple to use, but it's a little different. The other thing I noticed, and I feel like I'm always talking about scams here because that's something that I'm afraid of, but every Discord that I join, I start getting DMs from people with links to click. Do not click those links. I'm going to keep saying that time after time after time. But Discord's great. I've been getting really into the V Friends, the Gary V Discord recently. I think there's a lot of good information. It's very, very busy, very busy. It's almost so busy I can't hardly collect any information, but that's partially because the V Friends drop is coming here, the V Friends Series 2. Clubhouse too, Dragon. I don't know how much time you've been spending in Clubhouse. I'm kind of a Clubhouse OG. I was hosting tons of rooms in Clubhouse, as were you for Club Pod. I met so many awesome people in Clubhouse. And that's somewhere I'm also spending time as well. And if you're a little bit new, you're not familiar with Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a social audio app. It's kind of like an interactive podcast in a way. And there's tons and tons of different types of rooms. We got our roots in podcast, in hosting podcasting rooms. There's news rooms. There's all sorts of different rooms. There's also NFT rooms. And I've been kind of enjoying getting in there, DMing people, messaging, just trying to get a feel for like what's new, what's on, what's popping. But Clubhouse, Discord, Twitter, they're all pretty similar. They host a lot of similar things. I like this Cointelegraph, by the way, super cool site, very clean. And I just think getting this is uncharted territory. It's just so uncharted. We don't know which way things are going to go. And with every day, a new app, a new program, a new project launching, I think for me, it's really getting an idea of these different things. What's going on with the community? Let's get a read. And to be frank, one of the things that I put the most emphasis on is an actual digital utility. The Bored Ape Yacht Club just announced they're going to have their own metaverse, and you can buy ApeCoin to buy things in their metaverse. That to me is interesting. That to me is like really interesting, because if people are actually in this metaverse, they're spending time there, all of a sudden the NFTs that you own start to become much more valuable. And we've talked about that in the past. But anyway, these are some things that I've been looking at, things that different communities that I'm getting involved in.
Yeah, and just to close the loop on this conversation, there's a lot of stuff out there, and one of the first things you got to remember, recognize is that just kind of like a common theme that we have learned, is that people do what's called day trading, meaning they sit home all day and they're buying and selling things, which requires that they're in constant connection, and they have their finger on the pulse all day. They have to know when to buy and when to sell. So there's a whole community of these very knowledgeable people that we're learning from that are buying and flipping NFTs like over and over and over again. So one of the first things you'll notice when you get into the community is that these people invest a lot of time, like Clubhouse as well. I mean, like you could wake up at 4 a.m. and somebody on the East Coast where I live is running a Clubhouse room. That's not my bag, right? I mean, I just want everybody to know that Mark and I represent two people. We work really, really hard, but family first, and we've got our shit together as far as priorities. So don't run away from things like Discord and Twitter because you think that you don't have time. What I would recommend is that you find out how much time you do have, because there's a lot at stake. There's a lot to be learned, and there's a lot to leverage yourself for future wins. But identify ahead of time how much time that you have. When Mark and I run a Clubhouse room and we say it's from 8 to 9, it's over at 9. Then we go hug our wife and we're with our family again. You don't have to be full time to learn this stuff. So back to what I was saying, find a community, find somebody on YouTube and in these channels that you like, and just stick with them. You'll gain access to everything. Listen to our podcast. You don't have to be involved in everything to learn everything.
Well, you can't. You'll get completely overwhelmed. And really, that's what we're trying to do here with NFTs Made Simple. Bring in good actors, bring in people that know their stuff, go out and find the gems so we can bring it to you. So you don't have to become, a computer engineer, computer scientist. You actually just can be a practical, normal person to get involved with what's happening next with the future of technology with NFTs. So Dragon, I want to move on to our next episode where we're going to be talking about specific YouTube channels that we're getting a lot of value from. Let's get into this next episode.